Hello, and welcome to another episode of Apokolips Productions podcast's Why Should I Care About? I'm Erebus.
I'm BaconLord.
And I'm Yorangoth.
And today we have a very special episode of Why Should I Care About for you, focused on raids. The reason this episode is so special? We're joined by three wonderful guests. Please join me in welcoming Warrior of the New Gods.
Hey, everybody.
Digidax, also of the New Gods.
Hey, it's me, Paul Rudd.
Okay. And Insatiable Kiwi of, I'm sorry, I don't know which alliance.
Monster Society of Evil?
The
Wonderful.
Monster Society of Evil, because she is evil.
Not
This
gonna
is
lie,
fun.
pretty cool alliance name. I love it. So, the reason that we have these guests here and that we are, for the first time, live streaming an episode is because we wanted to talk about raids after the events of this past weekend. So, for those of you who don't know, this weekend was the first time that the Owls did not take World's Finest. I do want to say up front, after watching the New Gods and all of the hard work that they had to put in to take the World's Finest position, I am so impressed by the Owls and how hard they have to have been working all of these years to maintain that position. So, kudos to the Owls, but also big congratulations to the New Gods for all of their hard work in accomplishing this feat. So, for a quick synopsis of what the raids are, they are a monthly event that happens usually the last weekend of the month or the first weekend of the succeeding month, because calendars. They're team events where the alliances work together to defeat high-level bosses, and individuals compete to, individuals get to attack solo bosses as well, all to get pretty decent rewards, all things considered. It's a great weekend for some. It's a hard-fought weekend for others, but all in all, it is one of the largest community events that there is. So I know that we have a number of players here who were part of this game before raids were a thing. I am not one of them, so I would like to turn it over to them.
I know I was
Bacon.
here. Who else was here?
I was here before raids.
I was here.
Is that it? Oh Lord, am I?
No, you're not. You're probably not the oldest one in here as far as gameplay. I started November, so November it'll be 6 years for me.
Yeah, I started in November of 2016 as well. So we've been here the same, probably about the same amount of time.
Yep.
What do you want to talk about? I talk a lot on these things, so I'll give someone else a chance to talk.
May 2020 for me, so I'm maybe the newest player here.
That's very possible.
That was February 20th.
Okay.
February. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I
Tell
can
about the
share.
Dark Ages.
So the first raid I remember, it was Martian Manhunter, and we were in the Alliance Bizarro's number one alliance. It was, like I said, the very first raid, and we did finish top 10. I don't remember what our placing was, but I've actually had the pleasure of being on a team in the top 10 every time raids have happened. So, one of the first one, I want to say I was still like level 60, 65, somewhere in there. So I wasn't at max level yet. I wasn't 70, 11 or over. So I just remember my attacks were so weak, compared to some of the guys that were hitting that had 80 level, gear level 11, or at that point it may have been still 80, 10. I don't remember. Way back then. I'm old.
It was 80 at that point. It was 80, 11, because they bumped them up at the same time.
All right.
In 2016, 17, I think, or 18. It was after raids. Or before raids. I can't talk today.
But yeah, I mean, it was it was definitely a fun event. I remember, just everybody being on and on Discord and talking about just hitting together and all that. It was a great needed aspect that the game didn't have.
Yeah, I was say because before that, the big like alliance event was just doing the weekly missions,
Right.
and that was kind of just all we did. I remember like that, like how big of a deal that was, like getting first place. Like we would spend like the same amount of resources that we would spend in a raid, we would spend on those daily missions that gave you what is it eight? It's 8,000 alliance tokens, right? That's it. The rewards for that are significantly less than they should be if you're going to make that your like primary event.
And that Martian Manhunter raid, I mean, we got what was I can't remember the character or whatever. Was it Martian himself maybe, that we got so many shards for that compared to, like, they kind of nerfed the rewards a little bit after that, I want to say.
Yeah. I took my hiatus from the game. I didn't retire. I just kind of dropped off the face of the earth and returned triumphantly for the first. Yeah, this is awful. This timing is awful. I left probably like right before the raid started. And then, which was like March of 2019, I think it was. And I came back right after the September raid of 2019 because everyone was talking about the raids and what the raids were and like trying to explain it to me. I was like, I don't understand. And then they're like, it's fine. You just hit the boss a lot. And then October rolls around. They're like, we're doing a Scarecrow raid. And we're like, no. And it was terrible, because then I was just sitting there like, this is awful. I don't want to do this anymore. I thought about, and then they're like, we're not doing raids. There was something wrong with them for the next 2 months, which was really nice.
Not the raid to start on.
No, it was brutal. I did not realize what I was getting into. And then and then we did the Necron raid that January, and I was like, oh, this is easy. This is fine. Oh, Lord. That was... But yeah, no, the Dark Ages beforehand were just kind of just sitting around hitting those alliance missions and really calling that a day.
Yep.
Wasn't first thing, the Martian Manhunter, when they introduced the character, wasn't that like how they did the daily missions or the weekly?
So Martian Manhunter came in here. I've got the histories pulled up because every single episode I've had to pull them up, and it's just pissed me off because I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and I'm like, "Oh, when did that happen?" Like, I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry, I'm very dramatic. If you can't tell, Martian Manhunter came out in 2018, March of 2018. Martian Manhunter launched Alliance missions back then. And the only way to get him was that you're that pack in the store that everyone's bought once, is like expecting there to be another one that's for the Alliance fragments.
Yep.
That was the only way to get him for a long time, and there was no other really source of Martian Manhunter frags.
That's right. If you missed that raid, you missed him for a while.
Yeah, and I missed that raid. I didn't get him again until his rework.
He kind of a crap character though. Like when
he was garbage.
When I first started, my very first month was his rework.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You didn't know crap Martian Manhunter. Yeah, it was not worth it.
Yeah, I started May 2020, and that was his rework month because it was the Metallo Parasite month is the month I started.
But see, Martian Manhunter was so much like my equivalent of Marvel's X-Men Xavier that I really wanted him to be great. So there's
have
that
been great.
Hey, would he be the equivalent of the Doom Patrol, which Stan Lee copied them off of, I believe.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
We knew it was coming.
A wheelchair-bound genius that has a group of misfits that live in his mansion with him.
Yeah, that's enough out of you, Paul. Be quiet, Paul Rudd. We didn't ask you.
For someone who's in so many of their movies, you sure do hate them. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox about when precisely everything happened. I'll stop talking about it now.
No,
I love it.
And it was what you were asked to share.
That's true. That's exactly what I was supposed to do.
It's in the show notes. Excellent. Well, thank you for that. So I wanted to have a moment for everyone to just go around the room and to share their own personal tip for success as an earlier mid-game player, or like top 100 or top 50 alliance. I know that for a lot of us, it's been a while since we were earlier mid-game players, but just what would you say to somebody who is sort of building up to one day be part of the world's finest? And why don't we go around the room, and I'll start with Warrior.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for picking me first. No. One thing that really helped me is just to get a good mentor. I love doing that for players that are newer. It's kind of how I met Digidax in the game, and I had been mentored by a couple guys that really, kind of guided me to which characters to choose, and just how to level them, how not to just bring them up with their powers and abilities, and even legendary order or rebirth, but to focus on their gear. And once I learned the gear aspect and different things, it just made all aspects of the game better, but also in raid. Doing it at a lot of people, might try it at 60, like that 65.10.5, and it doesn't work very good in the raids, because you just need the power that a full maxed tune can give you, because it's all about the damage and the speed of how fast you kill it for your alliance to progress.
Yeah.
So that having a good mentor, I think, and that's why I think it's a really great thing to have some of these alliances that have multiple alliances within the family, because you can take some good wisdom from those that have been playing the game a while. So, plug for New Gods right there. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
And I should add, Warrior was one of my mentors when I was first really learning the game and starting to actually build up. He's the reason why I am where I am today. So, thank you, Warrior.
You're gonna make me cry, Arbus.
Yarngoth, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. So my number one raid tip for someone who wants to perform well in raids, but they aren't in like a higher tier alliance, would basically be just be consistent. If you know like that your alliance's goal is X, Y, or Z, once you reach that and you're secure in your spot, make sure you focus on solo bosses so that you can, collect that essence and those XP fragments and stuff.
Yeah, that's really important. Definitely the solo rewards can be a big deal for early game players in particular, because it can be some of the fastest way to build gear and to build reserves of rings and all of those things. So I think that's a really good tip.
100% exactly.
These things are very important, and a lot of new players and growing players seem intimidated by it and overlook it, but it's very beneficial, and the rewards and milestones, I think, basically outweigh what you get when you finish the raid and where you place.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiwi, would you like to go next?
I don't know. I don't know which one to pick. There's a few. There's so many. I think communication is a big thing. Don't be afraid to ask in your alliance. People that have been playing for a while. There are dumb questions, but everybody has had them. And to just ask them.
Only dumb people,
one of the,
right?
Yeah, if you get to play with Digi. But one of the things that I've learned, I don't know if it's necessarily true, but when I monitor my AB energy, when you tag into a legendary from one of your alliance mates, if you go in and don't do any damage and just back out, you don't get the AB energy. You have to do damage, and it has to register. That's one thing that I have tried to express to people. Make sure you get a hit in. Get a hit in, get 10 damage points, 1,000,000. It doesn't matter. and especially on days 3 and 4 are very important because you get more of the purple essence. And it's better to tag in on anybody's legendaries. Just go in, get that hit, and back out, whether it's an alliance main or not. Purple essence is expensive and very hard to come by. The second most under RB tokens. And if you can just rock in it, you tag in on the legendaries, you can build a good amount of the purple essence. I've done anywhere from getting 100 to 150,000 easily just doing my tagging.
Well, just to kind of bounce off something you said there, Kiwi, I think like the first part I think is super important too. Like if you have a question, if you think it's stupid, ask it anyway. Because the worst thing that can happen is someone could go like, "That's a dumb question." You figure out more about that person, and you realize you might not want to be part of that alliance, and then you might come to a different alliance with a family and some top tier teams, and who knows. But also just ask that in the community. Like I'd go to one of the community servers even to ask some of those questions, because unless it's like, what comp should I use to get World's Finest this month, I wouldn't go to the community with that. But like if it's like asking for raid advice, I would go to Joker's server, Owl's server, AAD, Master server. Heck, I'd go to the Redditverse server, and that hasn't been active in months.
I don't know if anybody's observed this. I know I'm talking out of turn and everything.
Oh, go.
But spawning legendaries, it's either you don't or you have somebody that spawns like 80 of them in 12 minutes. I've actually noticed, and I don't know if it's me or not, but if you try to spawn solos, I've noticed that I've gotten more legendaries when the limited time offers recycle in the alliance mission. Like at that hour, like that first anywhere from like 0 minute to
every 4 hours.
Hour. Yeah. I'll spawn legendaries, but I notice in that time frame, that's when I'll like do the solos and spawn 2, 3, or 4 at a time, and be like, "Oh my god, how did that happen? I got some good RNG on that one."
You know what I bet it is? I bet it's like a data dump kind of situation. Like everything refreshes almost every 4 hours with that, and maybe it's like has like a certain amount that is supposed to, like, I don't know. Maybe there's some RNG like it has to have this many legendary bosses within the hour, and you didn't farm any, so we've got to dump them on you right now. I don't know. That's weird, but it made sense in my head.
I think they spawn when they know you want to go to bed. I think that's when they spawn the most.
So true.
Overnights. Hey, overnights are a good time too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, there's also just certain nodes that I've noticed do better. Like I mean, for it's really cheap, but it's not the best one. I this last raid I farmed on day 1 and day 2. I just sat there and farmed the last node of the first chapter on normal mode, and that just dropped like the highest level of the day, and then also some legendaries. But then even like normal 3, the last chapter of normal 3 is what I've noticed gives me the best results personally.
Interesting. I'm going to have to try all of these things, because I got 1 legendary spawn in the entirety of last weekend.
Yeah, I bounce. I'm a gambler. I play slots. I bounce. So I will go into the different nodes, and I won't just do like the last 3. I'll swipe around and randomly select 2.
Well, I do all my heroics. I just do them, no matter what.
I think Yorngoth had something.
No, I was just going to say that I have a similar method of chapter 1, the last node in it, and I was getting 1 legendary every about 20 minutes or so on the first day, which was really surprising and pretty cool.
Yeah, you were getting a bunch of them.
I'm envious of all of you.
Oh yeah, I saw a lot from Yoron this raid.
Yeah, no, it was just chapter 1 last node, and it was doing really well for me on legendaries this month. It's usually not like that, but this month RNGs has blessed me.
We might need to ask Leprechaun, because every 5 minutes I saw a different one from Angry Leprechaun every day.
He had the market cornered on them.
I know.
Yeah, he did.
And because he doesn't have the logo, the New God logo, so I kept on almost taking MVP. I was like, wait, no, I can't touch that. I can't do it. Kept on catching myself at the last second.
You about stole his pot of gold, didn't you? You're after his Lucky Charms.
I stole quite a few Lucky Charms this raid. Not gonna lie. I kept missing it. I was like, oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to do that. Oh well, it's in the past.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have caused any lasting grudges that you know of.
That I know of. I might need to start DMing some people and be like, hey, I'm so sorry I stole your boss.
If you feel that you have been wronged by BaconLord in the past raid, please feel free to join us on this server and demand an apology.
We could start a class action lawsuit.
Never been more offended in my life.
Well, I'm only joking.
Once Question was into play, it was easy to steal anybody's legendary if you weren't paying attention.
That's true.
It's like, here, I'll do some damage, and then all of a sudden, oh crap, I just stole it from you.
Yes.
I think I did some more apologies this raid than I have collectively from the last 2 years worth of raids, in all honesty.
Well, it is worth at this point noting that there was a fix applied to Question, so she is not going to be quite as insane going forward. All right. Did you have any tips, tricks, anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, I wasn't going to steal what Warrior had to say, but I'm going to anyway. He did mentor me a lot. Like when I first joined the Bizarros and they were on their way down, I had him. I had Bizarro Doomsday, aka Light Ray, aka Kung Pao Chicken, aka but I mean him, Halara, and Warrior. They all really helped me along the way. They helped me get the tunes ready. They would say, hey, don't worry about gear in that tune. So having a mentor that has been through it, many, many times is a big help. Also, the thing that I do every raid is farm legendary essence on day one. I wait to get my raid packs at the end of the day, right before day 2 starts. So that way I have all that energy to go ahead and do heroics to start day 2. And it really builds up your legendary essence because it's so hard to come by in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of my limiting factors in this past raid. Also, the essence. Actually, mine was green essence because when we discovered how good Question was, everyone was, of course, scrambling to try and raise her, and I was sitting there with 100,000 green essence, and was just like, well, guess I'm spending a bunch of money to farm some green essence.
Oh yeah, I depleted I keep a reserve of 20 million green essence on me at all times in case I needed to drop a bunch of essence on someone like Question. But I keep a reserve of 20 million green essence, and I depleted it this raid. I depleted it to 0.
If you ever want to be irritated, just ask Eldion how much. Get a screenshot of his green.
I don't even want to know.
Oh God.
No, you don't.
You want to give us an estimate?
I think I'm going to say in the billions on the green essence.
Oh, good lord.
He's a solo spawn master.
Okay.
Eldion, you want to send us some of that?
I ask him about all the time. I'm like, dear.
So yes, join us for a future episode on Why Should I Care About Green Essence, where BaconLord and Eldion tell us their secrets.
I'm only keeping 20 million. Eldion's got billions, apparently. He's got a freaking gold mine of green essence. And I went to 0. I'm back at... I managed to get it back to 10 million afterwards, though, so that was nice.
Well, I was up to 40 million one time. I was like, look, bud, I got 40 million. He was like, huh, look at this. I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy.
Oh, and he's humble, too. Good to know.
Oh, super humble.
I'm sitting at just over 60 million, and I thought that was impressive.
I think the most I've ever had is 15 million. So I'm poor.
I feel bad that I finally got it back up to 80 million.
80.
And there you are, dropping
Yeah.
humble right there. Oh, Kiwi, humble as ever right there.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out too. You talked about being trained by Halara. She brought me into Core and the Knights of Rao and helped me a lot before she left and went into Mazzaro. So she's been around and she's done a lot and had a big effect on a lot of people in this game. I miss her. I miss her being around more.
See, this is one of the great things about raids and this game in general, just the sense of community that it fosters. I'm always so impressed. Bacon, did you have any tips that you wanted to share?
Well, I have so many things I want to say and share with everyone. You can't quite get me to shut up, apparently. Yes, so I actually have I'm not saying anything about anyone else's tips because they're very important and practical. I have one that it's very just detailed, nitty-gritty, because I know this is something as a newer player, as a lower level roster, because when raid started, I think I was floating around 60-10 for everything. And this is my personal take on it. Y'all are free to contradict it all you want. But as a early and mid-level player, raids are extremely difficult because it is impossible to hit the same as a person with a level 80, gear 11, rebirth roster. It's just not possible. And even if you're getting the same numbers, you're doing it so much slower and probably using more hits to get there. So my personal advice that I wish I had known, and I was starting to pick up on before I was like, screw it, I'm just going to go to 70 and 11 and that'll solve my problems. If you're not in an alliance that is placing high, don't fret, because solos you can place it a lot higher without nearly as much work. I have found you can, kind of what Kiwi was saying earlier with alliance legendary bosses, jump into those as soon as you can and just get a hit on and get out. And by the time it's day 3 and day 4, you're getting so many legendary bosses that you can just tap one, 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 and get out. And then you're getting, I think it's 500,000 solo boss points per legendary just for participating. That is enough to move you up the ladder of the milestones every raid, which I don't think we talked about them, but the milestones for a certain amounts of solo boss points, they take you up the milestone ranks and you get rewards of certain degrees for that. That is going to be the easiest way to accumulate most of those rewards. And that's just my personal advice is even don't worry about alliance if you yet, because it's not easy. And I mean, it used to be kind of like you reach 1 billion points, wow, you're golden, you've made top 10 because you reached 1 billion. Honestly, I think Owl's first raid, they were like 2 billion, and that was like maybe pushing it. It might have been low billions. But now we're at a point where like 4 billion is kind of what we're hitting at. I mean, this last raid, granted, is because of question, but we hit 7 billion. And that's just not a possibility sometimes with alliances. And that's okay, because you can get the solo rewards, and those can propel you to a level where you can start gaining the ability for alliance battles. That's my take on it.
Well, one other important thing to add to that is on the day that raids start, you will unlock your first solo boss very early, like within 5 hits of anything, whether it's a daily upgrade event or just normal play of missions. And
anything but PvP.
Anything
and
but
red
PvP.
alerts.
And once that first one unlocks, you need to go and hit it and kill it right away, because everything else is locked behind that first raid boss, that first solo boss. So when things unlock, that's when you can actually start progressing. And if you unlock that first one and then spend all of your energy continuing to play all of the things, and you're like, why did nothing spawn? It's because you needed to kill that first boss. I have forgotten that more than once.
And that's why you don't see an AB boss either. You have to kill a solo boss first before you can start seeing the ABs. There's always somebody that forgets that, and they're like, "Oh, my game's broken. I don't have an AB."
Apparently, Erebus and Bernice both. She's commented. She's like, "Yes, yes."
Well, a lot of people forget that you can only hold 20 bosses too, and that why am I not spawning more? Because you can only hold 20 total.
Yep.
I forget to clear more often than I would like to admit, and don't spawn because it's full of 20 or full of dead bosses.
Oh yeah, clear out the dead ones, especially unless you're focusing on alliance bosses and don't want to be tempted by the solo bosses. I did that this raid.
There have been a few times that when I've bought the energy packs that they sell, the $5 packs that they sell, and I'll just go through and I'll burn up all of the energy trying to spawn bosses, and eventually I'll stop getting them, and I'm like, why is nothing spawning? Oh, I already spawned 20. I gotta go, take out some trash.
So the key for everyone. It's the best investment in the game. The $5 packs for the Head Start packs, getting 5 of them. $25 US dollars plus tax. Best investment.
That, and I think the early packs of the raid tunes, the raid tune packs, I think the early packs of those, like the 100, 200, the small ones, best investment for an early game player, because that's super, like, you're getting your money's worth there. Even if it's a bad character, you've unlocked it, and now you can do other things in the game.
Definitely, people end up needing I need 20 more and I can level this guy up. Oh, well, here's your chance to get it.
Yep.
Exactly.
I mean, I have an alternate account, and I started that alternate during the Darkside raid, the first time. Well, the only time. And that was how I got Darkside, because I came in, I started it like the day before the raid because I was stupid, and I got Darkside through that, and Superwoman, both actually from that. So I've got a raid ready alt, is what I'm saying.
Looking for an alliance. Yes. So something you said there, actually, the last minute of conversation really leads into some advice that I have, which was passed down to me by Silver Fox of the United as One Alliance. Also an incredible mentor and really loves this game and this community. One of the big things that he pushes for his alliances is unlock everything. Unlock every tune, even if you hate them, even if they are worthless garbage. I'm looking at you, Damaged Goods. Unlocking them is the best thing you can do for raids, because then when it's announced who the ×5, ×3, ×2 multiplier characters are, you will be able to go to them and level them up and use them if you so choose. Another important part of his lessons was try to, when you have extra materials, level up the back end of your roster and try and keep them, get them to keep up a little. So if you have a bunch of tunes that you don't use very often, but you have some extra materials available to you at the time, maybe try and bring as many of those lower tier tunes up to level 30 as you can, and then level 40, and then level 50, and you can just keep doing that, and eventually these lower tier tunes may become useful, and you won't have to invest as many resources all at once. And I think that's helped me significantly in more than one raid.
Yeah, just keeping your tunes relevant.
Exactly. Even the bad ones.
Even Damaged Goods.
Even Blue Beetle.
Hey!
Oh, no.
You watch your mouth.
Oh, I could not resist.
Hey, I even ringed out a Dark Knight Batman last raid, just in case. That's how crazy I was. Ring that bad boy out.
Just in case that he was somehow going to hit hard in that raid.
Just in case. Oh, and I do have a completely ringed out Blue Beetle.
As you should.
Maybe even RB1 him. Who knows?
If you do that, I don't even know what I'd do. I'd be so excited. RB1,
Okay, I
Blue
do
Beetle.
then.
Yes! I'm excited he's in the packs too, because I started doing the packs again just to get him so I can rebirth 5 him, hopefully, before he leaves. Not that he's going anywhere.
Well, there's always his 4th rework coming up, right? I mean,
He's got to get the movie rework.
Oh, the movie rework would be nice. Maybe
Well,
they'll fix his kit.
Isn't that one of the movies that was on the chopping block?
It's too far in production. Granted, Batgirl was too, but I think it's. I don't think it's on the chopping block yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but that girl didn't test well in target audiences when they did their market search. Unlike Flash, that tested to be basically one of the best movies that Warner Brothers DC has made, which isn't really saying much.
Oh God! Don't even start, woman. Don't even start.
So what you're saying is the Flash movie is the tallest dwarf.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Also,
That's why they're really.
Hey, have you seen She-Hulk?
Oh no.
I haven't. I keep meaning to watch that.
Have you, Digi? Have you watched it?
I've seen enough, which was like 10 seconds of it.
Did you see any of the actual show or just a commercial in passing?
I saw enough to make me nauseous.
So you saw a promotional trailer?
So you saw the Marvel logo?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
The Marvel logo started, and I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I'm done.
Hey, She-Hulk's pretty hot. I'd do her.
It's Tatiana Maslany. She is phenomenal. She did a fantastic show called Orphan Black on the Sci-Fi Channel years ago, and
nice.
It was good. All right. Before we move on to, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, audience questions. Live streaming, such a rush. I did want to take a moment and say thank you to Warrior for his leadership in this past raid and for his leadership of the New Gods and New Genesis. And I wanted to turn it over to him for just a minute.
Well, thanks, buddy. I would just like to say thank you, especially to our super friends who joined us. And we had some just amazing people from the community, and that's really was the goal of this, to, some alliances that, have some players that don't get to really compete on, a level to go for World's Finest. We were able to gather some just amazing people in the community and join together, and we had our super friends just kind of come up in conversation. We're like the super friends, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we really bonded and got a chance to accomplish something that no one else has been able to do, and it was a lot of fun. Just bantering with each other, staying up all crazy hours. I saw people jump in, outside of their schedules just to help each other out, and know the bathroom habits now of 30 people in the community. So it's really amazing what you can accomplish. So just wanted to give a shout out to the team.
And you too can know the bathroom habits of 30 people if you go for World's Finest.
That's my takeaway. I'm so glad I said that live streaming.
Yep. For the whole world to see and hear.
That is not getting edited out.
No,
just
that's
so
it.
you know.
That's staying.
All right. So, before we jump over to audience questions, does anybody have anything that they would like to say as sort of wrap up, closing remarks, and then we'll move over.
One of my closing remarks is that it felt like a horror movie to me, waiting for the owls. This is going into day 4 that night, and I'm staying up, and I've had like 2 hours of sleep, and it felt like any moment the Predator or Michael Myers was going to pop up out of his grave. We thought that they had stopped hitting, and they were going to go for like 2 billion on us. So I really... I'm sitting there at night under my covers, hit buttons, waiting for the Predator to come after me. It just, I felt like until we actually, the raid was over, I felt like I wasn't going to be able to get any sleep in. So that just says a lot of credit to Owls, who kept me on my toes for like 4 days straight.
And that you lost the bet anyway.
And I did lose the bet anyway. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
What is this bet? I've heard about it, but I don't know
you
what
don't
it is.
know. Kiwi,
The
take it away.
bet was okay. Yeah, the bet was I was going to. I felt like if we had any shot of winning or staying close, that one of us had to match Burger and his insane numbers that he does every raids, which turns out he did 6K. And I said, hey guys, I'm going to be the Burger this raid. I'm going to hit as much as I'm going to try to match him hit for hit. And I came up about 2,000 short on the Burger numbers. So, and I said, if I don't match his numbers, that I will wear a Marvel shirt of the team's choosing, which Kiwi can take it from here and let everybody know about the voting process on these shirts that is going on right now.
Yes, not only would you wear a Marvel shirt of the team's choosing, there would be pictures taken of you in the shirt and posted in every Discord server. Don't forget that part. It's got to be posted in every server.
Thank you
But anyway,
for your
yeah, we picked.
impeccable memory there.
Gotta
And
love it.
as an added bonus, once we see it, I'll post it as a picture on this episode over on our website.
It'll be the thumbnail.
Awesome.
And that is just so. Yeah, so we have like what 6, 7 different options posted, and everybody gets to vote on it, which one they want. And when everybody's done voting, that's the one you have to get.
You could also post some of the front runners here in this text chat if you'd like.
Yeah, we've got to shave a logo into your chest hair. Make it your avatar for a month. I'm loving this.
According to her, I'm hairless, so I don't have any hair, but shirt, yeah.
Tattoo it. Or like brand you with like a thing.
Henna tattoo. Not permanent, but long lasting.
I would go for the henna tattoo. That is maybe something for another raid, next World's Finals.
Or like those little kitty like tattoos that they get like Party City that have like Spider-Man and all that, and they come off like half done and they never look good. Those, you could do those.
Oh, yeah, I feel like he'd like it being half done. Then he could just complain about the quality of Marvel products.
That was my thinking all along. That I could have something.
You need an Avengers fade. You have to get every logo of each of the Avengers shaved into your head and then colored. By.
What am I, Vanilla Ice or something? What's going on now? Like,
no, according to this podcast, you're Paul Rudd. So,
word to your mother.
Oh my god!
All right, I love that. And any other final remarks?
I'm good.
I think that put a good bow on everything there.
Yeah. All right, Yorangoth, I think we have some comments and questions from the audience.
We do. So the first question we have is from Bernice, and she is asking about comps when they don't work for her, and she's asking if it's because certain tunes aren't rebirthed. So do you think rebirthing tunes should be the primary goal, or is there another reason that certain comps might not do as well?
Well, I mean, I've been told that Rebirth and L2 are essentially the same before, so that's fun. But that's a story for a different time, I think.
I think it definitely depends on the tune. So, like for Question was able to serve at R2, which was bonkers. I mean,
she was broken and fixed at this point, but yes.
Yes. So there are definitely some that the legendary and rebirth might matter more than others. Like if you're going for a more long-lasting tune, something like a Doomsday, then closer to rebirth probably matters more. Versus like I don't know, a Riddler maybe that only needs a few things to be able to pull off what is needed in raids specifically.
Yeah, what you're saying is damage versus, debuff tunes. The debuff tunes don't need the higher rebirth, of course.
Like you don't need to RB Kyle.
Right.
So another thing that I might suggest that might have something to do with them not being as effective is whether or not they're ringed, because even if a character is pretty high rebirth or, legendary, if you don't have them ringed properly, they still aren't as nearly as effective as they could be.
True. Yeah, I must say sometimes it's not, just to kind of go a different direction with this question, it's not necessarily about rebirth or rank or even rings sometimes, like with the go-to comp of Darkseid Lois and Superwoman, it's entirely dependent on your RNG, because yes, you could do 300 million damage on a legendary boss on day 4, or you could do 20 million damage because Hippolyta decided that the only person she wanted to proc with her call assist was Darkseid, and your Superwoman's just sitting there waiting for her chance to hit. So
I was just gonna say, like this last raid, with everything that we used with question, if Necron attacked question, then you weren't gonna score well. But if Necron attacked fire first, then you were gonna do your crazy insane damage, just slaughter.
But even within, there was chances within that because it was based on crit. It was a few crit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
and how long you could get the battle to last.
Exactly, because I remember I popped in, everything worked right. Everything worked right. Like he hit fire first. Question did her thing next, and then fire didn't crit. Batman Who Laughs didn't crit somehow, and I think my Darkseid lead didn't crit. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Not one!" And so I did 500 or 1,000,000 damage or something, and I was kind of like, I should have cleared this boss, but here we are. So it's all chance. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I've definitely had matches where using Darkseid Lois and Hippolyta calls only Darkseid and never uses her 1, so it means that she just doesn't get to use her 4 again. And it's like, oh, we're just never going to call Lois. Okay, great.
Yeah.
One thing about comps, though, make sure you level 80 before you RB. Don't waste your RB tokens if you're still at 70. There's a lot of people that hang out at 70, 75. Save your RB tokens.
Yeah, that's a good note. Plus, you don't know what your power level is going to end up being if you rebirth and then level up. And that can throw you off if you're still trying to stay under one of the thresholds.
Definitely.
Warrior's trying to call it. So, Yorngoth, another question.
So we only have 4 questions left, and I think we should do them all personally. The next one is by Nuvera, and it is there a benefit to buying raid packs last minute as opposed to the beginning of raid? And personally, I think that the reason you should buy them at the end of the last day is because the solo bosses are worth more on day 2, and you can use that energy for heroic battles for the Alliance mission.
I don't see an advantage because you honestly, if you buy them at the beginning of the day, it doesn't change. I mean, if you restrain yourself, you're fine. In my personal opinion, it doesn't impact too much. I personally buy them. I buy them day 1 at the beginning, and I just don't use it if I don't want to.
I do them at the end of day 2 just because the first day I am farming legendary essence. I'm doing, all missions to get I know it costs and you're spending $100 per reset, but that's how I get my legendary essence so I can L5 characters. I mean,
yeah, and if you wait and you leave your blue energy, kind of stacking up all day, you miss some energy with it being full of raid pack energy. So why not spend your blue energy and then toward the end of day 1, go ahead and get your packs and it fills it up. So it's nice.
Just don't wait till the end because there's glitches sometimes and you'll get locked out and not be able to buy it. So buy them at least an hour before reset.
True. Good point.
Are you speaking from experience, Kiwi?
Damn it, yes.
Dark Parable did mention something important in the chat. Depends on your reset time and if you'll be asleep. So I do agree with that. But I'm with Yoringoth. I tend to buy mostly towards the end of the first day. I usually buy one pack right after reset on the first day, and then the other 4 right before reset at the end of the first day. That way I have all of the energy for going into the next day when bigger drops are happening, and so that I can get a bunch of points for the Alliance mission. All right, what's our next question?
So the next question is by Scorpio, and it is, in hindsight, if there's something you could go back and change about this past raid, what would it be?
Caffeine intake, and don't have edibles.
I would have. It's hard for me to say this because I'm like, my numbers would have looked way like just terrible if I had done this. I actually would have probably farmed more aggressively the solo bosses on day 1 and 2. But day 2, I was one of the few people who started with question, so I started hitting up Alliance bosses, and I probably would have, in retrospect, probably just gone back and done solos some more. But that's me.
I think the raid went pretty well. I probably wouldn't change anything personally. Like, the Super Friends, got first, and that's what's important.
Oh, I think I ended up top 20,000 in solo, so I did pretty well. Maybe I'd go for top 15,000,
Since Eldion can't speak, I've got a message from him, and he says, I wanted to jump into the chat and say, you go in the house. So there it is.
You go, girl.
Thank you, Eldion.
Anybody out there, just so you know, Eldian thinks that Yugo cars are the shit, that they are the most awesome cars that ever came out.
That actually might have been my favorite part of the raid.
Well, that's good, because the next question is, what was your favorite or most favorite moment or moments during the raid?
Oh, finding out that Eldion loves Yugo cars. That's it. That's for me.
That he thinks they're chick magnets.
They are about as much of a chick magnet as a PT Cruiser.
Those were cuter.
True.
All right. My favorite moment had to be jumping in the car to go to CVS so I could get a Google Play card to get my question.
And we all rode along with you.
Yes. Pictures to prove.
Well, not literally. We didn't all jump in the car and ride with him, though.
Maybe you didn't.
Oh, the clown car. There was a clown car headed to CVS.
There was a Yugo heading to CVS, actually.
He said clown car.
Eldion was driving.
Yeah, I was not in said Yugo.
I just love all of the stories and everything that have come out of this, and all of reading back through all the text chats and everything after the fact. It's been hilarious.
I really enjoyed being on one.
Yeah, you can really tell how sleep deprived these people were.
It was bad. We were bad.
All right, and I think we have one last question, is if my math is correct.
We do. We have one last question, and this one's from Purge, and it is, which tune do you think is seriously underrated, mystical, energy, or physical for each affinity? I'm not sure.
Blue Beetle.
Of course, Blue Beetle. I'm
What
not
a
sure
shocking
for
revelation.
raids or just in general, though.
Purge clarified, in general.
Okay, I must have missed that. I apologize.
No worries.
Well, you go.
I was going to say for you to go.
We're too polite. It's awful. Fine, I'll go first, since I'm at the top of the list as I'm looking at it. My humility. Obviously, Blue Beetle, and yes, to answer Dark Parable, Blue Beetle can outrage a Yugo. I'd say my underrated red is Scarecrow, and my underrated energy tune? I don't really got one. I don't really have one off the top of my head. I'm going to leave it there.
Digi, how about you?
These are underrated raid tunes for each
Just
of them?
Overall.
Well, I mean, I love my Ocean Master 3 times multiplier every raid,
Nice.
Underrated, not one that you just can't get enough of.
Oh, I'm definitely going Booster Gold because I'm a huge fanboy.
Nice.
He's definitely underrated.
Black Hand and Jay Garrick. I think they're underrated. They don't get enough credit.
Oh, yeah.
Highly fair.
I'm right there with you with Black Mask.
Oh, Black Mask is good.
Black Mask is not underrated. He is rated accordingly.
No, I mean Black Hand. I mean Black Hand.
Warrior's gonna say Red Robin. I already know that. You can
Dang it! Why did you do that? I was ready. Red Robin needs a power boost. Dang it! He was awesome.
He's still good.
He is still good, but he needs a little power boost. Digi's just jealous because Miracle didn't turn out to be as good as Red Robin.
All right, shout it. He's still better looking. That's all that counts.
Okay.
For me, my biggest underrated tune is absolutely Heatwave. I used to be really into bleeders and was really excited for finally getting a green tune that could do good bleeds. And he came out the same month that Chemo got his rework and just fell into obscurity immediately.
It's true. It's the trappings of fame.
Yeah.
And my green would have to be Desaad because y'all have downed him every episode that you've made so far. So I'm just going to throw it in there.
And I'm going to use that as an opportunity to down him once again. His call assist is 25% chance he does no damage. He is all utility and only with Darkseid on the team.
He has a call assist? I've never seen it.
No one has. That's the point.
Oh, man. Poor Desaad.
Oh, hashtag triggered. All we have to say is decide. He's so underrated.
That underrated S-ranked tune.
Yeah. Real underrated there.
Oh, my red underrated tune, Black Manta. I love
just
me my
needs a
bleeders.
snap boost.
It's true. That double tap on his basic for any bleeders is so good.
And works against Barda, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Especially with his heal immunity and making bleeds permanent. No.
Okay, slow down, guys. This isn't a tune talk. Let's calm down.
Fair. All right. So, I think with that, it's time for us to call it for the night.
I do have one more question, actually, Erebus. Sorry to cut you off.
Go for it.
I mentioned it, and Euron God said, okay, I'll note your question. Then he never asked me to say my question. Digidax, who's your favorite raid boss, Dr. Doom or Thanos?
My favorite would have to be Dr. Doom because he hates Marvel heroes just about as much as I do. Or maybe Galactus because he actually wants to destroy the actual Marvel universe. So I'd say Galactus is probably my favorite Marvel character.
It's about the answer I expected out of that, so that works.
He's a destroyer of worlds, not of Marvel. Give me a break.
All right. And on the note of destroying Marvel, it is time to destroy this podcast. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you especially to Warrior, Insatiable Kiwi, and Digidax. We really appreciate you joining us for this first live stream attempt. If people enjoyed this, then we may try and make it a more regular thing. As always, you can find us online at apokolipspod.com, on Twitter at apokolipspod, and on our Discord, which is linked on the website and Twitter, or also in the show notes here. Thank you all for listening, and I hope everyone has a great day.